Good morning and welcome back to the Beef and Barnzy show. I am Barnzy, and usual. I'm joined by internet personality, Webercut stalwart, and runner-up of the Ironman doubles, Beef Stew. How are you this morning?
Singles, but yeah.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, close but no cigar. Yeah. Getting to be but we're getting closer. So that was good. Led for the second week running. Keep making the lanes really difficult. Not having quite as much rev rate as the PBA Tour. It's good times.
Seems to work out okay for you.
Yeah, I set a personal record. I got to the 63rd frame this week without leaving a 210, so that was pretty good. Overall, I didn't really leave the 210 very much at all, and for me personally, that's a big thing for me scoring well. Just in general, like if I can avoid the 210, that largely increases my scores more than pretty much anything else.
Yeah, I think that's actually important to across the board. We all have a miss. And that's at any level. I think from the very best players to once a week. And if you can manage your most common miss, man, you bowl a lot better.
It's also the most punitive as well when you spare it like 1 in 27. So just a couple of things before we get Jakob on. We have quick ship jerseys from Coolwick. They start at $39.99. This is one that they sent me that's, for me, probably not mine. Chris Prather's probably digging it. But these $39.99. Here's another one that we have. It is the comic strip one. It's kind of cool. They are like I say, they start at $39.99. They ship out in a couple of days. I think they have pretty much all brands. I've obviously got a couple of Rotogrip ones there. If you use the code BeefStew10, you'll get 10% off. Also, exciting news: Storm released a partnership with Coolwick to design, I believe, what they're calling the Black Label. That hit Coolwick's website this week, yesterday, I think. Just 1 second. Control C. Let me just share it so you can all see it. It's a cool array of, well, just Black Label stuff. So, like I say, they've got polos, they've got like jerseys, baseball hats, quarter zips. Yeah, a whole mash of stuff. They even have a fleece, which I'm not sure me, you, or Jakob will probably need in the near future. But yeah. And like I say, I found out by going through the system that if you use BeefStew10, you get 10% off. So yes, Jeff, the shirts do run a little long at times on the bigger sizes. You can request in the notes to have it a little shorter if you want. So I personally have a 2XL with 2 inches off. That's the size that I used for an idea. So yeah. Any other business, Chris?
Not a lot. Waiting to hear back on the results from the tournament Lightning Strikes that we promoted here last weekend. I have not heard on that one. Obviously, we have a couple of big events that happened, but I think before we talk about last night's happening at the U.S. Open, we'll bring in our guest. And
yeah.
So with that, this is a former Team USA teammate of mine. He's holds the 6-game record at the Pan Am Games. He has 27 regionals already, 7 PBA titles, including the Masters. He has 3 runner-up finishes at the U.S. Open, including twice by a pin. Very close to having a crazy number of PBA titles in an early career. And he was last weekend's winner at the Ironman singles here in Texas. Pulls off the rare duo of being one of the best players and one of the nicest guys on tour, Jakob Butturff. How are you?
How's it going, guys?
Yeah, we're really good. So you beat me again, you little bastard. This time it was at 1:15 in the morning, so that was nice. You had I had a pretty steady day. I think I was third in the first block and second in the second block to lead. You had completely the opposite. Yeah, you had completely the opposite journey. So, do you want to talk us through your morning? Because all of us lefty haters are much more likely to want to hear about your morning than your afternoon.
Well, if everybody knows that I don't like one-to-one patterns. I absolutely despise them. And the first block, I tried to find the grinding pace, but I kind of fell a couple pins short. So I ended up being, what was it? I was like minus 85, and I had a big game in there, but the last two games I had air, and so I went minus 85, and yeah, that pretty much summed it up. I tried to lead makeables, that didn't go so well.
Yeah, I mean, just for the people who weren't really aware, we bowled on 35 feet flat, and when I say flat, I mean flat. I didn't stutter. No, it wasn't a sort of flat; it was exactly flat.
Yeah, and you threw it to the gutter. It hung.
So, what a lot of people struggled with was fighting their, I guess, subconscious that told them that they should move closer to the gutter to find friction. Well, that always, in theory, makes sense because, you know, when you bowl on a short pattern, you should move right. That's or left in Jakob's case. But the problem with this was, if it wasn't going to come back from 5, it definitely wasn't going to come back from 4 or 3 because there was just as much oil there. There was no ratio at all. It was 1-to-1. And I watched a bunch of people who couldn't grasp the concept of that. So they just kept missing the headpin to the whichever side their hand was. So for me, I was quite fortunate. I kind of got an idea of what I wanted to do pretty early, and I used, surprisingly, to me, I was laughing with Chris about it. I started with a pitch purple and I finished with an idle synergy. Neither of those balls are two that I pretty much ever use. But, you know, personal growth, and it's amazing when you're bowling better how some of the balls look better. But I use a lot of service on a pitch purple to start with, and I just played around 8, 9, and just kind of got the ball to start up in the front and just lay there. And that was that was pretty much the key for me. We had a pretty good cross, I feel like, Chris, in our area of the center. We had you, Rick Bernard, and Cortez on one pair. I was on the next pair, and then there was a couple of other guys who were around the top 10. And I think that really helped because it gave you, certainly for me, when I saw you move in with the reactive, it kind of confirmed in my mind that that was the direction I should go to as quick as possible.
Yeah, it is nice to be around other guys that are bowling well. And you are one of the most, very underratedly, one of the most versatile guys around on the tour. And that'll be the last nice thing I say about you today. But when you have options, it matters. And we were around some guys that are pretty good at certain things. And when they started to struggle, you could move away from what they were doing and try and move towards what some other guys were doing too. But it was a pretty good. It was a pretty good cross. I think we caught the right parts of the building at the right time as well. It didn't hurt anything. But a few of these things, you know, our fans here, they come in great, and they have a burning question that I think everybody really wants to know. How much was Butturff's bar tab on Saturday?
Oh, boy. You know, and this is coming from Chuck. It actually... you would be the most surprised person on the planet, Chuck. thankfully enough, fortunate enough for the friends that I have, I actually didn't have to buy much drinks this weekend. So Butter's personal tab was about, I would say, about $30.
Oh, you're doing pretty well then.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of hospitality in Texas. Good for you.
Yeah.
I do think quote of the weekend though goes to Frankie. He said, "Man, I effing hate Texas," and two people turned around, and I think Chris might have been one of them. And he goes, "What's the problem? I'm allowed to hate Texas. All of you guys who effing live here love it so effing much. Why can't I hate it? There's enough love for Texas by all of you Fs that live here." Thought that was pretty funny. As he was hanging out with Simo, who every time he goes, "I've never met anybody so proud of where they come from who don't live there." Oh shit! So then we went on to, I think it was a 41-foot pattern, and so Jakob was in about 22nd, I think, after the first block. We were cashing 20, cutting to 8, and after about 4 games, I'm like, "What the fuck?" And Jakob was leading. So talk us through that one.
So I feel, and I don't want to be the burden when I say this, but I've practiced on Kegel Arsenic. Not Kegel Arsenic. So the pattern that we bowled on was, what was it called? Purgatory, or whatever it was. But
Nick Hoagland -3.2.
Yeah, it was it's basically, if you look at the patterns, like if you look at the graphs, it's almost identical to one of the patterns that Kegel put out called Arsenic, and it's just one of those patterns I practiced on a lot here in Arizona. It's a pattern we put out a handful of times, and we ended actually bowling on it at the Phoenix City Masters. It was the same exact pattern, and I pretty much played the same part of lane as I did during the Ironman, and that's right up 2, 3, 4. And
so, just a second. Trey Ford says highlight of the weekend was 9 spare, triple, miss, 8. Well,
oh my god,
it was 8 miss, Trey, but there you go, mate. There it is. This was the first game. Sorry, Jakob. This was the first game on the short pattern. Trey went up after Sloan. Sloan had 9 spare double, went miss 6. Trey went up and went miss. Same lane. So Trey was in the 6th frame. He was -32 with a triple.
Wow.
Attaboy.
Oh, poor Trey.
So you were saying that you use that ball. Sorry, you use that pattern to practice a bit.
Yeah, and I want to say it's my pattern where, I have a trick that pretty much no one else can do, and that's just play right up the gutter.
Ball left-handed.
Yeah, lefty. I know that it's probably a little tough to do that on the right side of the lane, but
no, I do joke, but you did actually achieve the thing that everybody's looking for. They were easy for you, and they were pretty much tough for everybody else. We joke about that on the show all the time. How do I want the lanes? Easy for me and hard for everybody else, and that's pretty much exactly how it went down for you.
Absolutely. I was bowling. I ended up bowling Maldi in what was it? The round of 4, the semis, and I obviously chose to finish on that pattern. And he turned around because I threw one to basically like 1, and it peeled off of it. And he says, "Jacob's bowling on bumper bowling, and we're all bowling on U.S. Open." And I just pretty much lost it. It was great.
Yeah, then he still had a chance to win, and he was using his I think it was a black hammer on the short pattern, bowling about 15 or 18, 8-10.
Yeah, Ocho Diaz.
Yeah, that was a bit of a kick in the pills to end the match. So they had a bit of a weird deal where they only used 2 pairs for the matches, and the high seed got to choose which pair you were on. Well, I had absolutely no luck really on the short pattern. I don't think either me or Jakob did, to be honest, that well. But then I had the option of going on the pair that Jakob had just shot to 100 on and getting 2 shots practice on each pattern, or staying on the pair I was on and Jakob, trying to figure it out. So I went with that and I shot 200, which I thought was going to be plenty, but you managed to find 230. I think the turning point of our match was you sparing the 3-7, because I think as I was walking up for my next shot, because I was on triple spare strike, I was walking up going, is Jakob fucking serious? He never makes any spares. Why did he just spare the 3-7? As I let go of it and went, oh shit, I just Greek churched. So I think that you sparing the 3-7 got in my head. I think that's what it was, Jakob. I think that was your most crucial.
I think as crazy as this may sound, leaving the 4 times in my life that I've left a 3-7, or just any split in general, I just try to figure out find a way to make it. And obviously they're hard, and I left the 1-3-7 earlier in that match, and I barely hit the 3-pin. So I was just like, all right, just stand in the same spot that you just left the 1-3-7 on to shoot the spare in. Sure as shit, it worked.
Says, wow, the 3-7. I know, it's as rare as rocking horse shit. Yeah. Somebody asked me, with the truck on the line, did anyone get past the front 5 every time they cut? Yes, they did.
Oh my god, this is the best story ever.
And so it was game 7. It was available for the last 4 games of each block and the matches. So it was game 7. Cortez went Brooklyn the first shot, and he had the next 5. And I told him, I said, he's got a legit chance. He's got a really good look, and he's been bowling really well, whatever. And Anthony Lavery always says that I'm the biggest black cloud that's ever lived. So, of course, Cortez went straight through the nose the next shot. But 2 pairs down, there was a lefty whose name literally escapes me, but he had the front 8 at this point. Front 7, I think it was. So he goes Brooklyn in the 8th. And this isn't to be disparaging, because they were still really difficult. He goes up in the 9th, really good shot, strike. So we start to get kind of excited, and I'm bowling with the Platinum Ford guys, and they desperately want him to hit for the truck, because they actually made money if he hit for the truck, but they lost money if he didn't hit for the truck. So it was kind of a fun deal. So, oh, there it is. Ken Hamby, it was. So he gets up in the 10th, and he dead nuts it. Like the 4-pin smashes the 7, and we're like, damn, he's going to do it. So he gets up in the 11th, and in my experience, the 11th one is usually the one where if people miss, that's usually the one that goes pretty bad. And he looks pretty chilled. He went back and he got rosin and everything, and he got up, and the whole bowl stopped at this point because everybody's like super excited by this, because he's about 400 under as well. So he goes up and he like labels it again, and we're just like, holy shit, he's going to do it. So I pull my phone out, and there's nobody bowling, and we're stood there, and I'm like, Chris, he's going to get this. I mean, he's just dead nailed it. And I'm like amazed, because Chris joked with the Platinum Ford guys and said, hey, if you need someone to insure this truck next year, I'll do it if you're going to put these patterns out. And then this guy's just got up and dead labeled the 2 in the 9th, in the 10th and the 11th. And he gets up, and I pulled the camera out, and he threw such a bad shot that I feel bad showing it. So I'm not going to, because I would show it if I'd taken one of his 11th, but I'm not showing the only shot of this poor guy's day being this one. But he threw it, and he looked just as chilled. He took his time and everything, and he almost took the 3 off right.
You hit the right side of the 2-pin, the 3-pin.
3-pin, yeah. It was
right side of the 3-pin.
He had a drive-by. He almost had a drive-by on the 3-pin.
He was left-handed too, so Jakob wasn't dealing with it through a strike that squad.
So he left the 1-2-7-9. Yeah. If you had that one in the sweeper, you'd have probably won. Oh, there you go. He said he dropped it. That would make sense.
Yeah.
The problem is, Chuck, I didn't prepare for it, and I can't just. Maybe. Let me see if I've got it in my photo library yet. Oh yeah, I do. All right.
I don't think he'd mind. I think he.
Let me see if it'll play. Oh yeah, it will play. Oh, it already started sharing. That's cool. Interesting. So we're kind of excited. So here he goes.
I mean, the whole place stopped. Super excited.
There's nobody on the approaches.
It was buzzing.
Oh.
He came back with a smile on his face. Bless him. Me, I'd have probably just started sobbing. I just wanted him. I wanted him to get it, walk over to Stoney and Adam and say, "Give me the keys." Because the
side story to that, across the board, everybody, I don't know Ken myself, but across the board, everybody says this guy's a super good guy, super nice guy. And the backstory of that is he said up front, the only reason he was bowling was for the truck. If he won the truck, he was going to start his own business.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of heat on that one shot for him. And
sounds like
really, in the end, it's a $75,000 pickup that he's bowling for. So
96, 296. Yeah, no, it was I just wanted him to get it because he could have easily stopped and it wouldn't have mattered and just sit in the truck while we finished the last game.
Yeah, we were bowling with Stoney and those guys, and or you were bowling with him. I was next to him, and I mean they were pulling for him as much as anybody. Those guys at Platinum Ford they're solid. You know, they are good guys. Stoney can really bowl, and his boss is a really good guy.
So yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to show you guys. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is.
Trey Autry coming in.
So that's the new Platinum Ford spare ball that's available if you test drive. It's a Team Storm ball, but with the Platinum Ford logo on the other side. That's pretty sweet. So yeah, they said that. Just talking of Adam, who's Stoney's boss, who was bowling. He had another great quote this weekend. He called up Brett Cooper, who's the Storm rep for the area, and he said, "How come I've bought 1,500 balls from you and none of them work?"
And Brett's like, I mean, what do you mean?
Someone said, "I bet Jakob would have sold the truck and donated the money to cancer research because that seems like something he would do." It does sound like something he would do, but he would have got $10,000 cash. We couldn't qualify for the truck.
In all fairness, I would love to do it, but I've always wanted a truck, and that would have been the perfect opportunity. And I still couldn't get it.
The boys at Platinum Ford can get you into one, Jakob. They can probably even arrange to have it delivered for you.
Oh man, get it on my front doorstep next week. That would be amazing.
Exactly.
That would be the best present.
I'm sure that you've got some pennies stashed away that you can put some money down on one.
I loaded up the change jar after this 40-day trip.
The change jar.
Other side note, Kenny was also throwing the Platinum Ford ball that he'd gotten from test driving a vehicle.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Here, Alan Riley, this is next level, patting himself on the back here. He subbed for one of the boys last night. He bowled very well. Beef and Barnzy making differences out here. He drilled a spare ball. He made every makeable last night, despite trying to miss a couple of them. And over the top left, and they skated right into it. note to self, unless you're Norm, or if Walter uses a spare ball, is there really a reason why you shouldn't be? I'm just saying. So,
Here's a
Alan,
question for Jacob in the chat.
Hey, in all fairness, I have a spare ball. I mean, does it make my spares half the time? Probably not, but I even drill a spare ball. So
yeah, you're at least trying. You've got halfway to a spare ball. You've got a spy now, so now you've got a plastic ball with a core, the most pointless thing in the world.
hey, it works. It works on patterns too. So
yeah, works on the 3.7 is what you should say to me.
yeah.
Well, there's fair.
Chuck says, I'm pretty sure they'd waive the delivery fee for Jacob. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they could be convinced into it. It says, do you send your urethane before every use? I'm thinking he's guessing before every block. I was told it's a great habit to have. Being as you use urethane significantly more than we do, what's your process with it, if you don't mind giving away some tricks of the trade?
It honestly depends on where we're bowling and what we're bowling on. This week, I definitely hit all my urethanes with a little bit of surface, just because we bowled on a little bit more oil. The 41-foot pattern, I definitely hit my bowl with surface, and just hit a couple of the newer purples, and it worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Do you find that you like to, lightly touch them to start with, just to get that oil sheen off the top of them, or do you just basically throw them to start with and then see what they do and then add surface after you've practiced a little bit?
I definitely try to hit them before I start, just because that way I can kind of, like you said, just kind of get, and also it works out for me well, because obviously my rev rate, it's not as high as Jesper's, but trying to get urethane to start up as quick as possible, so it's not overhooking as much.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what we thought. There's the main problem with urethane is if it kind of gets because the oil, just reactive balls absorb oil, urethane balls don't really absorb oil.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
The oil kind of stays on the top of the surface after you've finished. So when you get it out the bag, you'll often see it almost looks like it's sweating with urethane, because that oil is still on the top. It makes it just a little bit hard to get them started. So if you take, maybe 1,000 pad or something, and just you're almost cleaning the ball. You're not really adding surface to it. You're just cleaning the oil off the top of the surface.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Before you start. And then obviously there's going to be different places where you might need more surface. In my mind, with reactive, you should always err on the side of not enough surface. And with urethane, you should always err on the side of too much surface, is kind of a good rule of thumb, I think. In general, most times for most people, the hardest thing with urethane is being able to convince yourself to throw them slow enough. So if you miss on urethane and it's a little dull, it's probably going to be okay.
Yeah, and I noticed that when we were practicing right before we bowled our matches, and you had a fast pitch and a pitch purple with basically parking lot on it, and I think honestly, I think that was I think that's the best strategy, honestly, just because you need something that especially when they're 35 feet and they're dead flat, you need something that's not gonna. You gotta find the right part of the lane. You just gotta make sure that it's not gonna overhook.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's way easier for me with the urethane to throw it a little bit harder, because it's got too much surface on it, than it is to try and make it come around the corner, because it doesn't have enough surface on it. So I'm not afraid of it. I've hit urethane balls with all sorts of stuff. The only thing I haven't quite got to is the rasp. I haven't quite got that far yet, but pretty much everything from that up I've kind of used.
I hit one with 180 once.
Yeah.
And thought it was going to be ridiculous. And it was not. So I love that.
I actually have used I've used screen on them. I've used sanding bricks that you use to knock drywall down. 240, 500. Like 500 is basically 3,000 on a reactive ball for me. Like
I know
there's
it's
a benchmark.
I know it's not a urethane, but I've seen we were bowling a tournament in Reno. It was the Pam Buckner, and I remember seeing Warren Crawford hit his ball with absolute screen paper. After the first block, he bowled not so good, and then after that, he hit his ball with absolute screen, like the dullest thing I've ever seen, and he just couldn't miss the rest of the tournament. He beat Chris Warren in the title match. It was absolutely impressive to watch.
Yeah, I mean, with the way the oils are now, you'd be really surprised how much surface you can use on some of the balls. And if you're speed dominant and you can get it through that very first part of the lane, it's it can definitely help, especially on urethane. With most reactive balls I've gotten, it seems like I hit them out of the box with some type of pad. Do you guys? And if so, do you do the same with urethane?
At one time, I always did anything with shine on it, particularly with a different manufacturer than now. It was almost required.
Yeah.
Now I throw more balls that have shine and stay, and they still roll good with polish on them. But Alan has a lot of rotation, and he also has a pretty good rev rate too. But because he gets the ball through the front, getting it through the front's not a big problem for him. So a lot of times taking polish off, and it does help, I guess, some consistency of knowing what it is from the very get go. Especially if it's going too long. So I think a lot of guys do hit balls a little bit, especially if they have polish on them. You guys are more speed dominant, even on tour because they're just down lane oil.
I mean, I do touch them, but I mean, I really do, you wouldn't know that I've done it. Just to put a couple of lines in the polish a little bit. But I actually find myself taking the solid balls and using a lot of the time. I use more shine on solid balls than I do on pearl balls, which kind of seems a bit backwards, but that's kind of for me. And then with the urethane balls, I mean, I kind of got to the point where I found a couple that I liked. And, maybe I listened to USB-C and decided, the more I threw it, the better it got, because that's what their survey told me.
Yeah. I mean, except for physics, it makes perfect sense.
So I know that Jasper likes drilling fresh pitch blacks a lot. I know, Jakob, you kind of like the fresh urethanes as well. Outside of those two special ones you have, with the new purples, I'm sure you're going to be drilling plenty of those.
Yeah, it's so I've had a lot of people ask me, like, out of the new purples, like, Jacob's got to have at least like a dozen of them already, and it's like the two new purples I have are the only new purples I have, and honestly, they've just been the most successful. Like, I have hardly used my old purples as much now with the newer ones. I've had a lot more success with them since since I got my hands on them.
Yeah, I mean, you did use the. I know there was one game in Coldwater where you did use the old purple quite successfully, and you used the new purple quite unsuccessfully.
Oh, that was the back 7 for 169, right?
Yeah, you had the back. What was it? The back 5 for 169. You had 7 frames with the old one and 3 frames with the new one, and you scored 11 more in 3 frames. So yeah, that was a pretty good one. But yeah, I mean, I know that you've been using the new ones probably more than anybody else that I've been seeing. So what do you see as the difference?
I feel like with the newer purples, I'm actually able to play more. Like, I'm able to play like up the lane more. I'm like, if there's enough enough oil, enough volume in the front part of the lane, I'm able to actually kind of like trap in that one spot. And the newer or the older ones, I feel like are just like a touch cleaner unless you hit them with a little bit more surface. But I've just had a lot more success with the newer ones when there's been enough volume in the front part of the lane to throw them.
So you think they're a little smoother, probably?
Absolutely, yeah. It's especially when we bowled at events like when we bowled at Coldwater. I mean, there wasn't a ton of oil in the front part of the lane, but because they're a little bit smoother, I was actually to kind of like see it not side to side, but more the pattern more front to back.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely, it makes sense. Somebody says, "How many purples have you drilled?" I think we mean just like total. If you were to take a wild guess.
Well, I could tell you back here in the personal closet, I definitely I still have more to drill, but we're probably in about the 50s. Probably not as much as Jesper with pitch blacks, but
Okay, good effort.
A little separate note here. Change it up a little bit. Jonathan Gary, longtime watcher, multi-time commenter. After watching Chesapeake event, I feel like the tour needs to be exempt again. I mean, let guys bowl a squad to get in the field like the old days. PTQ. It's the only sport where guys can enter and bowl with pros that have no business doing it. What do you guys think about some form of an exempt tour?
I completely agree, honestly, because in my personal opinion, it's just there's so many guys out here that are so successful, and you see guys like Kyle Troop and Simo, and all these guys that are just so successful, and there's guys that they could say that they can bowl with the pros, and that's amazing, but at the same time, I feel like you have to earn your way in order to do something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I do want to qualify because Chesapeake is basically a super regional, and so it was an entry driven event. It did not have sponsorship money, so I'm all for anybody getting to bowl those types of events. On the national tour, I think I would not quite like it was before, but some sort of exempt type tour, and where you bowl a qualifying and half make it through and half cash, not like the old one where everybody cashed. And you can really you get to where some guys at the top can still make a lot of money, but a few more guys than maybe what's going on right now.
Yeah, I think for the summer swing events, I think it's different. Like you were saying, I personally think that we should have. There was a lot of issue between A and B in the qualifying, and I think that we should have had a scenario where they seeded the B squad and all of the whatever national tour players, whatever you wanted to call them, were on the same squad. And I think that it would have made more sense if it was B. And that would have been it. Like, so, because with all due respect, out of the guys who you didn't know, there wasn't many of those guys cashing. So them being on one squad and the guys who were there to win the tournament, for want of a better description, being on the other squad, I think would have probably been the best scenario, because people would have got to experience a tour stop, but you wouldn't have had that issue between A and B being so prevalent. I mean, some of the disparity was, it's like, it's getting to be a really big problem, and we need to find a solution to it.
Yeah.
In the big events that we bowl, most of the time they're all one squad, like World Series, TOC. I mean, the players is kind of irrelevant, but we only bowl one squad within each region that you bowled.
Right.
The US Open was a bit like that with the disparity. The Masters is always like that. I mean, the one year in Vegas that we bowled, I think it was the year that you won, Jakob, 33 people came from B squad.
That's right. Yeah.
When only 64 people make it, that's quite a large proportion of the people. And the USBC are trying to address that with like limiting squad changes and stuff. But,
yeah, that being said, there's no, I mean, it's not like nobody's trying. We have some of the smartest guys in the business making a real effort, and it's still happening. And it does, okay, well, we didn't let the lane sit long enough. And then we let the lane sit long enough, and it still happens. oh, there was too many lefties, there's too many power guys, there's too many straight, whatever it is. And too often right now, it's still popping up. Sometimes, hey, guys, you would think it used to be always the later squads beat the early squads because you had a better idea what to do. And now it's going the other way.
Yeah, the early squad pretty much is just pounding the second squad.
Yeah.
And whether that's to do with house shots or whatever, the night before or
lane memory, how long the lane pattern sits.
Yeah,
I think that was a big part in what happened in Chesapeake too, because A squad, their pattern, the oil pattern sat for at least like an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and then B squad, we're starting as soon as the lanes just got oiled. So the pattern's not sitting for an incredibly long time.
So yeah, I think Sean out there on that tour, he's gone to where he's not letting them sit as long before A squad as he used to try and help that disparity. But and it's something we've talked about even within the committee is instead of the term director having the say of the schedule, if the squads run late, the lane man he's the one that says, okay, they've been sitting long enough. Now you can go. And
so
give a little control over trying to help that disparity close down a little.
No, definitely. I mean, I know that Sean's trying his best. I just think that the easiest scenario for these tournaments is it's very rare that more than half the field, and there's going to be times when, one guy bowls great in that morning squad, but when it's only one or two guys coming out of it, it's not as big an issue as, the top 15, like 13 of them being on the one squad.
Then bonus spins at the end can't make up for that.
Yeah,
when you can't make the cut.
So one of the friends of the show says the knowledge you guys have in your craft is amazing. Is it what sets you apart from the average Joe? Did you know the details of Jakob's game in cold water? The only reason why I knew the details of it was because I was already out and I was just going through the motions. Really, my last game because there was no chance. And Jakob was on the next lane to me, and I was looking for Dom and him for making the cut. And Jakob was just blowing up. And then the next minute I look over and he'd struck out. And I asked his ball rep, I go, what did he do? And he said, he threw his old purple the last 3 frames. So that was the only reason I knew it. I just wanted to give Jakob a bit of a hard time about it.
Yeah, that center, it's a 16-lane center. But anytime a top 5, top 10 player, whatever, has a game that's an outlier, and 79 in the 7th is certainly an outlier.
Especially when it was coming to the time for the cut as well.
Yeah, it makes the ripples through the field a little bit. Like, holy crap! Hey, EJ's on a rough one right now, or Dom, or Belmo. It doesn't matter if you get some games that are like, holy crap, you don't see that very often. That's why they're at the top. And so, and of course, and that's what great bowlers do. They turned 120 into 160
and saved his tournament.
And makes
fun fact about that game too. That was the 9th frame was my first mark on the left lane too. Like I 1, 3, 5, and 7 didn't see a dash or a strike on it.
The easiest spare to make is the one you make on the first ball.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't work until the 7th frame. 8th frame, sorry.
Hey, Jakob, have you ever used a Utah blue hammer, the first reactive, which was actually a Baltimore blue hammer? Huh?
I have not yet. In fact, fun fact, I've actually never thrown a blue hammer. As crazy as people who know I love urethane.
Well, it's not that crazy. I mean, men through 16 then. There's not that many 15s around.
Yeah, you got me at that 16 part, unfortunately.
And I'm about to say, you also live in Arizona. There's a certain guy who's vacuumed up most of the options for a blue hammer.
Yeah. Brett Wolf, Masters champion, has the question was going around. I tell you, we'll bring it up. I'm not sure there was that much credibility, but do you believe a ball can make a career?
it definitely it can, but it cannot if that makes a valid point. Fun fact that not a lot of people know, and I think Barnes knows this one well. What's it called? I had a lot of success. I'll admit it. I had a lot of success before I signed with Ebonite at the time. I had success with 900 Global. I set I set a record, and it worked out with them, and I'm very thankful for the success I had with them. And hey doggy, I ended up going to Ebonite. I did successful with them, and now it's Brunswick, and I'm very thankful for all the opportunities I've gotten so far in my career. And it's just like I said, a bowling ball really truly it does define a career, but at the same time, if you're successful enough, you should be able to make any bowling ball work.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I like giving you a hard time about it, but
Yeah, well, I mean, the Blue Hammer, it gave Brett Wolf a go. A type of ball has helped you. It's helped you along, and you could probably argue a few people have only throw urethane, so it may not be a ball, but it's certainly a type. There's people who made the argument about Norm, where he's won, I think, 37 of his 40 titles with reactive.
Right, exactly.
After bowling a significant time without it.
So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people. It's funny. A lot of people make that. They say that about Walter, but he was also pretty good with urethane.
Yeah, Walters doesn't hold any weight because he has won titles with plastic. He won titles with urethane. He won a title with a helix.
I would say Walters won in what was it?
So he won with a hybrid ball that literally stunk. Walter was Player of the Year with urethane also. So I mean, you can't really discount that he only won one Player of the Year. So it doesn't really work that way.
So Trey says, he said he watched a video with EJ and Simon and he said, let's just say the Purple Hammer was never made. Would those people that throw it still be successful? I think that's a difficult one to say, but I will say that all of the lefties except Jesper probably wouldn't be on one brand.
That's probably not particularly unfair.
But anyway, somebody asked about the shirt that Chris is wearing. It was a limited edition shirt that we had in Vegas in the Storm Shop, but we do have some left. And if you're still watching, whoever it was, if you send me a message, whoever it was who asked about it earlier, if you send me a message, I'll figure out and I'll send you one.
The lapdog. That's our new puppy, and she is big. Some kind of hound and another rescue, and her name is Allie. We're very clever around here.
They said Jakob Aaron is the most winning player ever with a conventional grip. He means a house ball grip.
Probably since the 60s, anyway.
For a statement that I actually absolutely hate to argue. When it comes to regionals, I'm actually only halfway there. I think when it comes to a successful bowler, Chris Warren is
no, Jacob. He's talking about the fact that you just use like a house ball grip. You go to your second knuckle, and we're just saying that I don't think anybody else does that.
And no offense, winning a West regional is pretty much like half a regional. We don't count all those, so you got a ways to go.
I mean, I'm still in. If they count as half, I'm at 14 then, right?
Yeah, no, that's so good. I'm not saying,
Actually, wait. So to back up my statement, I've actually won 5 other regionals in different regions. So technically, I'm still kind of at that borderline of 20.
Yeah,
that's what he's saying to you, Chris.
No, I know. I watch the standings every week. Every regional's won by a left-hander. So if you're there or not, you just win by more.
I will say that
a lot more.
When we bowl tournaments, Jacob, I can say this with almost certainty that there is no person in the world who the field says, "Thank fuck Jacob isn't bowling," more than you. They're like, I never am at an event and I go, "Man, we'd be really fucked if Belmo was here." And and we would, but we don't quite. It's not quite the same because when you have it, man, you win a lot. It's pretty impressive. Like, for as much as people like want to beat up on lefties and they're easy on the left or whatever, it's still really difficult to win, period. And to win at the rate that you win at, just tournaments in general, is very impressive.
Thank you, Stewie. Thank you.
He's right.
Anyway, back to normal programming. Fuck lefties.
True. Nobody has gotten screwed more by you showing up than Travis Tribble.
Oh yeah. That goes back to our last show.
I was about to say, the two people on earth who had the biggest difference that weekend, Nathan Bohr because he won the Ironman, and Travis Tribble because he lost a regional that he was definitely winning.
Yeah,
he was 100. You were not supposed to be there. Should not have been there. It was ridiculous that the rule was enforced that way, and then the fact that he bowled the best tournament of his life, and he lapped the rest of us by such a wide margin, and still couldn't catch you.
I remember driving back from Oklahoma back to Dallas area, and the first thing that Stu told me, or the first thing he asked me as soon as he called me, and he says, "How does it feel knowing the PBA fucked this Travis kid out of a title?" And oh my god, it was I've never felt like so. I wouldn't use the word ashamed, but I've never felt so low winning a regional in my life, knowing that he averaged probably the best in his life in match play, and
yeah, it was amazing. You two were just you two were just bowling a different sport. I was already home.
Yeah, it was quite impressive to watch from him, and if he gets another opportunity to be in that moment, he's gonna win. I think it's gonna take, or who knows when the next tournament is gonna be for him, but I think I could see a successful tournament for him that same exact way.
Yeah, and this is true. Back in the day, and Walter was also a no days off guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jacob's like that though.
Right, that's what I mean.
Did you bowl on Sunday, Jacob?
What's that?
Did you bowl Sunday?
I didn't. I ended up taking the time off since bedtime wasn't until 3 a.m.
Man, that's a first. I fully expected you to be there to beat up on those poor 14 toes who decided to bowl that tournament the next day.
My knee wasn't gonna take another game, unfortunately. Since the fall in Minster, I gotta be smart with this decision this time.
Okay. So you were saying about Walter Ray, but that was kind of the same for national stops as well for the longest time, wasn't it, Chris?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, he could do some things that really no one could do, and he made shows he had no business making. But if the gutter played on top of that, then it was, jeez, yeah.
Will Jeter says Novak won his 6th regional this weekend, 5th in the same building. And he laughs, and I said, "Man, it sounds like Anthony Lavery."
It's
Anthony Lavery dominates out in Odessa.
I think he has 5 wins there, 4 wins,
and he has I think he has 5 wins and 8 regional titles or something like that. So it's
kind of crazy too, because
I mean, if Chapman had just bowled better on the Saturday, he wouldn't have won any of them.
Yeah.
Inside joke.
My little jab.
You only need to improve by like 240. It's just who can't do
that? My little jab at Anthony. It was I actually bowled the one at Astro, or it wasn't Astro. Sorry, it might have been Astro Bowl or in Odessa or whatever it was, and um, it was like his fourth consecutive year winning, and then I bowled the next year, and it was like I want to say like I didn't want to point this out there, but it was like right around the time that my mom passed too. So it's like the wins were a little bit more meaningful. So and I would like it came down to basically the last game, and like even for a regional, like the emotion still kind of hit. So and but Anthony still bowled good. Who top four was him, his brother. His brother actually that regional was the cut after Cash's round, and he finished second. So he had a good showing in match play.
For sure. Yeah. Well, what's next for you, Jacob? What do you got coming up?
So in a couple weeks actually, I am the host of the regional here in Arizona, September 10th to the 12th here at Bolero Mesa. So we got like 10 spots left for anybody who wants to come out to Arizona in September.
Maybe even more importantly, when you kicking that squatter out of your house?
That convict.
Oh, you want me to go wake him up?
No.
I couldn't believe you were up. So,
Yeah, no, that was I was actually wide awake at 6 a.m. So
whoa.
I don't know how, but
so regional in Mesa in a couple weeks. Is that what you said?
Yeah, and then I got the over under doubles up in San Jose, the Terry Leong Memorial Tournament with Michael Haugen coming up.
Decent team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So are we going to see you in Texas? You're going to come in for Dino's thing? You're going to bowl the Monster event? Any of those that you're looking at playing?
I'm definitely gonna. It's definitely on my radar. So I'm definitely gonna put that. Oh fuck, Jacob's here. Talking to people's mouths.
So. Oh, there you go. Let's look at him. Cocky. I think Anthony Lavery told me he's not scared of anybody in Plano.
I don't blame him.
I looked at him like this, and I was like, Stephanie Johnson says hi. So, real quick, we should we actually were speaking about it just before it started. The Women's US Open. Sorry we didn't get to it. We've been 55 minutes of bullshit, really, but we've been having a good time. So, Women's US Open last night. I was watching the position round. It was actually one of the few times where position round was worthwhile. Every position changed in the top five. Let's start the 5-6 match. Stephanie Zavala and Shannon O'Keefe. There was one pin in it going into the game. So Shannon was the one who was leading. So she needed a tie, basically. 7th, 8th was too far behind, really, to catch up. They had a bit of a seesaw battle. Neither of them could really find a solution on the left lane. I think they had three consecutive splits on that lane. Stephanie 4-9'd in the 6th, and then got up in the 8th and left the 3-4, which kind of gave the momentum back to O'Keefe. O'Keefe struck in the 8th, went up in the 9th, missed a little left. And when I say a little bit, it seemed like it was only a little bit, but she had the go that way, go that way, go that way, and it went that way just enough to shape up for the 4-9. So she 4-9 in the 9th, which basically gave ball in hand to Stephanie. If Stephanie would have gone, I believe if Stephanie had gone strike, spare, strike, or whatever it would have been, spare, strike, spare, it would have forced O'Keefe to get double and 8 to tie. But Zavala got up and, like she's been doing most of the season, bang, bang, strike, strike, thanks a lot. So she took that 5th spot. The 3-4 matchup was pretty much, it looked like it was going to be Diana's for the majority of the match. Kowalski got up in the 10th and got all 3 in the 10th, which it felt like it made a difference, but it didn't really, looking at it. And then Diana got up in the 10th and got 8 on her first shot on a double, made the spare. So then she needed a strike to tie, which would have left her with the 3rd spot. Unfortunately for her, she ring 10, which a lot of the time wouldn't make a difference. But with the prize funds being this high this week, that was probably a pretty decent difference, 3,000 or 4,000 at least.
From a guarantee standpoint, yeah.
Yeah. And also, with moving up one less match can be kind of useful.
Yeah, 3 games versus 4.
And then the 1-2 was Josie Barnes and Sherry Tan, and they'd been going back and forth with the lead for the majority of that last block. Josie's had a kind of a quiet season, but she's kind of awoken at the right time. So much so that until I switched the live stream on, I completely forgot that Josie was now throwing Storm. So that's how little really that she's been doing.
Sherry had a
65 pin lead.
Yeah, so Josie had to win by 36, and
and Josie spared in the 9th and got up in the 10th and needed basically whatever she did, Sherry needed to mirror, give or take a few pins. And she just drilled all 3 in the 10th, all really good shots. Sherry got up after she actually ring 7'd in the 9th. She struggled basically. She struck the first frame, then didn't strike again. So she threw a really good shot in the 9th and ring 10 and got up in the 10th. And she threw another pretty good shot, and the messenger kind of went in front of the 7. So that was a little unfortunate for her because obviously having the 50,000 guaranteed and only one match for the 100,000 is obviously definitely the position you want to be in. But yeah, definitely going to be an interesting TV show tonight. I've been trying to quickly see when it is, but I haven't really been that successful. I know it's on CBS Sports. But anyway, it's on tonight. I believe it's live. So it's going to be definitely going to be interesting. None of the ladies on the show will have ever bowled for that much money. There might be a little bit of an advantage to Sherry because I guess she's been in positions where medals have probably meant close to that much money for her. But there's no way that you can get used to that. I mean, me and Jakob haven't really bowled for that much money. So maybe Chris can give us there he is, 6 to 8 Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Tina says 6 to 8 Central. So for you, what was it? What was the experience of bowling for those 6-figure checks?
A lot of it's really just staying present and not tying. I had a habit of tying something to whatever that number was. Even if it was $3,000, $200,000 was a little tougher to tie a number onto. But it basically, in some ways, it was almost easier because I couldn't tie a number onto something that big. I'm too cheap to spend that much money. So, but it was really about forgetting that it was about the money and keeping just to the smaller things in front of you. And I think everybody's different, but I had a habit of getting ahead of myself a little bit. And you get a lead and you're jumping to the interview. Like, it's a quick way to get out of the interview. I can tell you that. I tried that a few times. And just staying in the moment, staying in your own process, and eliminating the outside distractions because, really that pressure is all self-induced for the most part. It's what you deem important, and certainly $100,000 changes. It changes lives and makes an impact for most people. When you're regularly mowing for $10,000, you now have that 10 times in one game is it's a pretty big number.
Yeah, no, definitely, especially considering the ladies have been bowling for 10,000 for the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's been the majors have been paying 20. Now it's paying 100. That's
it's the first time since Kim Terrell Kearney back in the last time this happened, it folded the tour. So
it's gonna be exciting. Hopefully we're gonna see a close match in the final coming down the stretch for that 100,000. I think as a viewer, that's the thing that everybody wants to see. Everybody wants to see the pressure that creates. And you don't want someone to mess it up. But at the same time, it isn't half compelling viewing when you can see how nervous people are for it. Like our poor friend Kenny, when he threw those first 2 shots, it didn't seem like it was a thing.
Like he talked himself into like, oh, well, whatever happens here, whatever happened,
And then he got the first 2.
I probably won't get it. And then he got there and went, and then it got real.
Yeah, real fast.
Yeah, and it's easy to stand over on the side when your resting heart rate 70. And especially if you haven't been in that moment and go, well, his heart rate's now 142.
I almost think that there's more pressure on that scenario than there is in the tournament scenario, because the truck was like 30 feet away from him.
Yeah.
Like it's still sort of surreal when you get a check. Like it's when like the poker players play like the World Series or whatever, and they've got like $10 million on the table. Shit gets real fast when you can literally see it right there.
It's hard to separate this is what I'm doing from
you're
100%. Trying to reach to it's within my grasp now. And then that, for Kenneth, it would have been an easy stretch to go, oh my God, 1 strike. And then I get that truck, I can take my irrigation business and that will let me get a business. And then I can get a loan and I can start my own thing. I can hire this guy. And then pretty soon you're out of the moment.
No, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I believe the truck was about 60,000. It was an STX. It was an STX truck. So Chuck says they should pile 100K on the table in the bowling arena. It's not that easy to find 100,000 in cash, so I've heard.
Yeah, when you're not in Vegas, I'm not sure that you want, you would need a touch more security around.
Well, also, I'm not sure that many banks carry that much cash like that you can walk in on. You have to have a pretty long debate about that's that's okay. If we all wanted to go and pull all of our money out the bank, for me, it wouldn't be that much of an issue. I'd just be like, I could probably use the ATM. But, for Chris and Jacob, they'd probably have to make an appointment.
Yeah. And hopefully when I can get that truck I've always wanted, hopefully that could be the scenario and have a little security behind me.
Gosh, if only you'd won anything to where you could have that money already.
If only if there wasn't a rolled 2 in front of me, I could definitely be one of those 6-figure champions. So,
yeah.
Simonelli got one. I'm just saying.
Oh, I know. I've been in the same category as other than my alcohol tabs. I would say that my my pretty penny is not spent as much as it should be.
Well, I don't know. Historically, bowlers go, they go buy on the good year and go broke on the bad. So put it away. The rainy day is coming.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've managed to spend 1 hour and 10 minutes. When the guests are this good, the time flies for sure. So thanks for coming on, Jacob. Do you have anybody you want to give a shout out to?
I just want to say, a big thank you for the Aussie putting up with me for this whole time, and especially 40 days in the car. I'm pretty sure he was ready to just put his head outside the car window and just roll the windows up, but I'm thankful he was able to put up with me. So
yeah, I think that he should probably be the thankful one. Being on the other side of the world and needing someone to babysit him somewhat. He stayed with you since January?
Yeah, since January 12th, I believe.
Yeah, like squatters' rights there by now. I don't know.
He's gonna have to pay rent one of these days.
Well, I hope he has been paying rent. He's made more money this year than he's made his entire career, or all places, all where combined. So
surprisingly enough, he when we were out in Houston, he actually makes more in the poker room than he does sometimes during bowling.
So the question is, has he even offered to pay rent yet? Then
He has. It's just I just yeah, he's offered.
All right.
All right.
Well, Jakob, thanks for coming on once again. Congratulations for winning. It seems to be a habit that you have no matter where you go, and we're a little envious. And so,
yeah, I think Tina's suggesting you should go and party with the Flores twins.
Oh man. Make sure I can. If we go bowling, I'll make sure to get a Yahtzee for you, Tina.
That's a very Arizona joke.
Yeah.
Sorry, who was the squatter? Sam Cooley. Sam Cooley's his Aussie squatter.
So Sam Cooley, yeah, he's a little bit more friendly than most people make him sound like.
Oh, he's fine. I mean, if he goes to Home Depot and buys plastic tarp and some other things, I would maybe.
If he starts looking at warehouse space.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
all right.
On that note, hey, thanks again for coming. Congratulations once again, and on another successful PBA season. Regular habit for you these days. And so good luck in the future. And to all those watching, thanks for joining us and jumping in today with the comments. And, when you get a chance, please support the sponsors that support us: Storm, Rotogrip, Niner Global, Vice, Coolwick, 3G Shoes, Bowler's Mark, Mark Baker Bowling, Fire Lake Bowling Center, Platinum Ford, and Lightning Strikes. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
See you later.
Thank you, guys.